Welcome to the Connection Revolution podcast. I'm so thankful you're joining us for this episode. We have another great episode, another great guest with us today. His name is Bronson Ko. Bronson, thanks for taking the time to be with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Just want to give a little bit of context for everybody out there listening. This is a business leader, a very devoted Christian guy who's a business leader. And we are blessed as the Sending Project to be connecting with more and more business leaders, because I believe, and I believe it's very true, that God is doing something major through the marketplace leaders in our society today. Bronson, would you start off by just telling us a little bit about your journey with the Lord? Tell us how the Lord brought you into His kingdom, and your journey, and how you became to be the founder and CEO of what's called KOMA, a martial arts business that you run.
So, grew up in Blue Springs, age 6, parents divorced. My mom was at the time, I'd consider maybe a semi-believer. Father was a really bold atheist. So that kind of started things off a little rough. And then my mother remarried. I ended up getting baptized, which was interesting because he was Catholic. I've always had a fear of God from my first memories. Always had that. But I actually did not fully commit to the Lord until November of 2020 during COVID, when the state decided to shut our business down for 6+ weeks because we
Wow.
were considered essential. I remember sitting in my basement just feeling like the world was coming down on me. And I was watching this documentary called The American Gospel, and there are people on there like Paul Washer and I think even John MacArthur was on there, but
Hmm.
really just good biblically sound pastors. And all of a sudden, everything they were saying just made sense. It became very clear to me, even though I heard a lot of the same things. And the documentary is actually on the prosperity gospel. And
Oh, okay.
I had nothing to do with, like, I never believed in that anyways, but for some reason, just hearing these words resulted in me fully giving up and submitting and saying, I don't care at all about this business. If it goes under, so be it. If I have to
Hmm.
sell it, close it down, it's up to you. I'm submitting fully to you. And I'll never forget that day.
Hmm.
After that, I started reading the Bible and things started making sense. My father actually started his martial arts business in 1976. He's Korean. My mother is American, so I'm half Korean. But he
Hmm.
came here in 1976, started his business from nothing. He had like $15 in his pocket as an immigrant from Korea.
Wow.
Then built that business. I grew up in it. I started martial arts when I was 4, started teaching when I was 15. And at that point, I started adding systems and processes to his business as a teenager because he was just kind of running it as a just how he felt, just very subjective based. And I didn't like that. It's funny because God makes it so unique.
Yeah.
And I've always been a systems and processes guy. I want things very objective based, very organized, very clear
Yeah.
and cut. So I implemented that in his business, and then ended up running his second location in high school. And as a senior, they had a work program where
Wow.
you could leave halfway, right, at lunchtime. So I'd leave school in the middle of the day to go run his business.
That's an amazing story, Bronson. Thank you for sharing. And it sounds to me like, I mean, COVID was such a crisis in so many ways, and for so many businesses, and how that all went. And it sounds like God worked in the moment of that crisis, that season of crisis, to really reach to you, and you were saying yes to Him basically as He was reaching to you, and things have led to what they are now in terms of your devotion to Christ, and running your business with that sort of mindset.
Yeah, during the times of crisis, nobody wants to be in it, but afterwards you are. It's very clear what the purpose of it was.
Tell us all about KOMA, and what's going on with it.
Yeah, so I graduated in 2000, I think 5 or 6. But the reason why there's a discrepancy there is because I ended up starting in business, went to engineering, went back to business because I realized that I was not smart enough to do engineering at the time. So then I had to go like an extra semester. So I remember January 2nd, 2006 is when we opened the business. And this was literally the first day of me being out of college. And I'll never forget the conversation I had with my father when I approached him with wanting to open this business or having my own studio. And his first response was, get a real job. Don't do what I'm doing. There's better things out there for you. But then I ended up convincing him. And the reason why I wanted to do it is because I just love teaching, especially kids. I've always had this passion for teaching people, and especially kids. So that became kind of my, I guess, calling at that time. Ultimately, though, about the business, we're very character and leadership development focused. It's not just martial arts. A lot of people have the stigma in their mind of what martial arts is, whether it be MMA. So you see UFC on the TV and they're just fighting each other. That's not even close to what we're focused on. I'm obsessed with helping our students and really anybody who's interested in becoming the person God created them to be.
Wow. I love that. I love that. I love how you're not holding that back. You know, it's not like, well, it's there, but we don't really lead out with that. That's kind of like leading out with that. Bronson, I mean, I'm so thankful for all that you've just shared with us about your business and just how you're approaching it from a Christian perspective. And you've been encouraging and inspiring today, brother. And to those of you listening and watching, thank you for taking the time to be with us for this Connection Revolution podcast with Bronson Ko, our featured guest. And we look forward to you back with us next time as the Connection Revolution continues.
Connection Revolution, let it change your life. Oh, Jesus Revolution.